praises to Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai. And here with another lesson to you. And this one is Sedition amongst men and the Mark of the Beast chip. And what you see here, this gentleman here is in the autonomous zone of Seattle, in which the Black Lives Matter movement that has been taken over by the Black trans Lives Matter and everything else that fits therein, has corrupted it. And this is the reason why no Negro should be involved in this music. That definitely is a Hebrew Israelite, because these people are working wickedness. Okay, and I just got it. Let me read this scripture to you. And first we'll start with 2nd Esdras 9:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Now, we've been seeing uproars in the people through the riots, through globally, the people responding to this George Floyd situation. And as we can see, many Negro blacks are being put to death. So definitely we can agree that the prophecies are speaking right now. So let's go ahead further. Verse 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Let me read that again. For like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and an end, and the end is manifest. So we are to warn our people, as it says in verse 15. We are to warn our people by speaking the words of prophecy. And this prophecy today is fulfilled. It is fulfilled. We can see the uproars of the people, and we're at the time of what Esdras spoke of as sedition among men. And let's go to scripture that points that out, and that'd be 2nd Esdras 15 verses 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draws nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And this is what I wanted to point out. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the courses of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So let me run this video past you. And this has occurred, as I said, in the Seattle Autonomous Zone in Seattle, Washington. They have taken over part of the city. And this is a part of the New World Order agenda. Order out of chaos. Because when you cause chaos, people want a solution. And they're going to come with a solution. And that's the reason why they have not brought in the military or any police are coming back to take over it, because they actually took over the police station as well. But let me run the video.
Can I ask why you're following me?
To make sure you're not doing anything you don't need to be doing.
What would that be? What are the orders you got? vehicles autonomous zone. This is what happens when protesters take over an entire city block, including a police station. Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. It's about 3 or 4 streets. It's just famous for being ground zero for protests in Seattle. I've been covering protests here for a decade now. This is about where they all start and about where they all end at Cal Anderson Park. It's a mess that the protest is up to. What's your deal? Why are you down here?
Keeping a border or a wall between, the cops, whoever wants to hurt these people, period.
Are people trying to hurt them?
Not as far as I've been here. I've only been standing out here for about 12 hours, but...
Do you live here?
I live all around here. I don't have a home, so...
Oh, we're totally awesome.
How's it going?
Oh, it's good.
What's your job?
My job is to, nothing. No, I don't have a job at the moment. I actually quit my job to come and protest.
This is Fox, and we're not answering questions.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, okay, cool.
Who are you? What brings you here?
So I am here under a pseudonym. I'll leave it at that. That makes it irrelevant. My purpose here is to make sure that everybody who's in there is safe and protected because we are a non-violent movement, whether that's from violent police action or from Proud Boy incursion, things like that.
How does this end?
How does this end? That's a good question. Ideally, what this looks like is the city takes us seriously, that we need cultural change, and that happens by the standards that we set in our laws. The only reason why we have made police unwelcome here is because their presence has been largely antagonistic. While they aren't here, there's nothing but peace and humanity over there, and it is beautiful.
As you can see, Esau has taken over the movement, and this is being allowed by our government, by the state, and as you can see, this would have never occurred if they don't have some sort of agenda in mind. Okay. All right. So what is this leading up to? What is it actually leading up to? Well, when you look back at it, we got COVID-19 here, 30 million people out of work, and we have a situation where our oil dipped, and our market is dipped in terms of being able to get a healthy oil market going. A lot of people don't file for bankruptcy. At the beginning of the year, we had before the COVID started, all the CEOs quit. They resigned. Okay, so that should give you an indication that America is through. America is through. This is the reason why they're allowing this to happen, because it's order out of chaos. They can begin to implement their agenda of New World Order. We're soon headed toward hyperinflation, and with that, you're going to experience a cost hike in everything, in food and services. But let me run a video on hyperinflation that you can kind of relate with. Like I said, we're headed toward hyperinflation, and as you've seen, the chaos that has been instituted in America with the riots, with the tearing down of the small businesses. This is what the elite want. They want to be one superior class of people, and that's the elite, in which will control everything. It's called New World Order. If you've seen the movie, I think it's A Girl on Fire. It's Hunger Games. Yeah, that's what it is. Hunger Games. That's basically being depicted out right now as we speak. All the people that are on the bottom, even the middle class, are headed toward a poverty stage. And this gentleman here is talking about the hyperinflation that's headed our way. This is Venezuela, and I chose this video so you can kind of have an understanding of what's coming. Okay. And as we had spoke of the sedition of men in 2nd Esdras 15, let's before I start the video, let me read 2nd Esdras 15 verses 16 on down. For there shall be, and that's 2nd Esdras 15 verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. As we see in Seattle, Washington happening now, they disregarded the government, the state, and they took over a part of the city. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And eventually this is what's going to happen. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. But why? Because of hyperinflation that's going to hit, and everything's going to be too high to buy. And even if you're working, you're not going to be able to purchase the same amount of food as you were before, because the dollar is going to be devalued. Devalued. That means that it's going to be worth less. Okay? Verses 20. Behold, God says, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun and from the south, from the east, and the Lebanons, to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them. The them is the chosen seed, the Hebrews that were brought here in slavery. And that's what's going to be the end game for the other nations. The Most High is going to cause them to be destroyed by assembling themselves in World War III. But that's a whole nother video. But let me get back to the hyperinflation that's headed our way, because that's what's coming next. Hyperinflation, famine, and pretty much World War III.
Because of hyperinflation. Inflation has been a problem in Venezuela for years, but it's really taken off since the end of last year. Since then, prices have been almost doubling every month for the past 9 months. The annual inflation rate is now running at around 80,000%. By some measures, that's the highest in Latin American history. And economists in Caracas expect it to get worse. They say it could reach 300,000, 400,000% this year. So what's the government doing about it? Well, Nicolas Maduro has announced a series of drastic measures. The first, introduced this week, is to lop 5 zeros off the currency, the bolivar. So a whole load of new banknotes have been issued. The biggest of those banknotes is the 500 bolivar note. That will be worth 50 million old bolivars. That's still only around $8. Now, this should make things slightly easier for Venezuelans in practical terms. They won't have to carry big bags of cash around with them in the way that they have in the past. But as economists have pointed out, lopping 5 zeros off the currency won't actually halt hyperinflation. And just to confuse matters, the new notes and the old notes will actually run in parallel for a while until the old notes are finally phased out. Mr. Maduro...
So as you can see, the currency was devalued, and that's what's coming to America. The devaluing of the dollar. Okay, they keep printing money over and over and over to prop up the economy, but it's not going to last forever. Okay, it's going to come a point in time when they're going to say, hey, the currency is being devalued, and they're going to come up with the solution of New World Order. Order out of chaos. Okay, so we are in Jacob's trouble right now. As in the times past, they rose up against us. The wicked have rose up against the righteous, as in times past. And just like they rose up against us in 70 AD, and they rose up against us during the Maccabean period, and they rose up against us during the period of time of Esther. If you would read those chapters and verses. Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Alas, For that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay, so we need to turn to the Most High so he can redeem us out of this trouble that we're in, because we are experiencing Jacob's trouble. As we saw in the last video, they allowed them to take over a portion of the state of Seattle. We seen the rioting where police allowed a lot of looting to go on in certain cities. And now here we see in Indiana the citizens breaking out their guns and their rifles to display them in front of the Black Lives Matter groups that walk by. And this is the number one reason why we should not be participating with Black Lives Matter, because it is not, the Most High is not dealing with Black Lives Matter. He's dealing with the children of Israel and the Israelites. And that's plain and simple. But let me run this video, and this is the local citizens bearing arms in front of the Black Lives Matter group.
Thank you.
So as you can see, so what is the end game for New World Order? I hope you already know what it is. It's to tag, chip, and implement the mark of the beast system in every human being on planet Earth. It is to chip, microchip everyone, so that the kingdom of America, Edom, can reign supreme over the people and enslave them. And I do mean enslave. Okay, so let me show you this video.
Open up here, and then we'll start the procedure.
And for the record, in terms of a pain scale, if you can compare it to something,
Probably more like a bee sting.
The latest office innovation is a microchip implanted in the skin.
This is the first American company to ever try this.
So what are they tracking, and would you say yes if your boss asked you to do the same?
So if my employer wanted to microchip me as if I was their puppy, I would have a huge problem with it, and I would probably quit.
You could argue that the government is tracking you everywhere you go, but they are already with your phones.
Yeah, it just seems a bit permanent. If you already have an Apple Watch that's you're wearing around, at least you can take that off at some point. Not something I would do.
I think it's a great idea, and I think it would make it all a lot easier. I just think that you have to back it up with maybe some doctors saying it's good for your health, and then I think I would do it.
3 Square Market is a company working on one of the biotech advances at the forefront, implantable RFID or radio frequency ID microchips. The tech has been around for decades, used to track pets, packages, and livestock, but now the Wisconsin-based company is trying to make the implants mainstream. Even with all the risks and unknowns associated with this technology, I was really curious what it'd be like to have an implant. So I traveled to Wisconsin to get chipped, thinking, what's the worst that could happen? The chip is coming out at the end of the day. And the RFID chip is already inside there.
Yes.
And it's a little bit larger than a grain of rice.
Correct.
Jasmine rice, I think.
Basmati.
That's Andy Whitehead, better known as Gonzo. He's a local body piercer with 17 years of experience who was brought in to implant the microchips. I was slightly nervous about having the microchip inserted inside my body, given the size of the needle, and also nervous about what it could potentially mean for me, but here we go.
Just take a nice big deep breath in, and exhale, release. And there we go.
It's in there.
It's in there.
Pretty quick and easy.
I feel like a cyborg.
Here you go, you're a proud member now.
Indeed, part of the club. Just like that, I was part of a small group of people on Earth pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. And within minutes, I was meeting with their tech team to get my chip programmed. I guess what you're saying, to sort of put it in layman's terms, if I wouldn't need to take this out until we live in that futuristic world where everything's wireless, cash is gone, autonomous vehicles take us everywhere, and I'm just beeping my way through my day.
Really, probably you'd never have to take it out, and this is what we think is going to propel us into that next stage.
As you can see, Esau has implemented the mark of the beast chip. And let me read Revelations 13 verses 16. Revelation 13:16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their hand or in their foreheads. Verses 17. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So if you take this chip, what's going to happen? You're not going to have a place in the next age, in which is the kingdom of heaven. Revelations 14:9. And a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the power, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So if you take this chip, you're not going to be saved out of this captivity that you're in. If you're Hebrew Israelite, you're going to be left here. When the assembly of great nations shoots those arrows from the end of the earth, the Most High is not going to redeem you out of here in the heavenly chariots that are going to beam up the elect into the chariots. They're going to take them up into the chariots and save them, but you'll be left here to burn. And that's why it says that you should be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb, in the presence of the elect, the angels, and the holy Hamashiach, Yahushua. So with that, I say shalom, and remember what we spoke about: the sedition of men, the chaos that was caused on purpose by the elite, and the hyperinflation that's headed our way, and eventually World War III and the implementation of the mark of the beast. Shalom.